After the success of Black Myth Wukong last year, international gamers have been eagerly awaiting the next epic Chinese video game. And in 2025, the game that has been making headlines is Wuchang Fallen Feathers, or in Chinese, the title is 明末冤虚之语, or The End of the Ming, Feathers of Vast Emptiness. But this game is being talked about for both positive and negative reasons, with people complaining about an update to the game that many feel was self-censorship by the game's developers to appease ultra-nationalist Chinese. Now, first of all, I have to say this game does look beautiful. A lot of work has gone into it by the developers Linzi. It is an RPG set in the late Ming Dynasty, which ended in 1644. The in-game location is Sichuan Province, or what they refer to in the game as the lands of Shu, which is a name that actually dates back to the Zhou Dynasty, which existed over 2,000 years ago. Now let's go back to the Ming Dynasty, since this is set at the end of the Ming. So how did the Ming end? Well, the Ming capital in Beijing was first attacked by the gang of Li Zicheng, who ruled China very briefly. That is until the Ming general Wu Sangui defected, opening the gates of the Great Wall at Shanhai Guan, or Shanhai Pass, and letting the Manchus in. They took over the capital Beijing, causing Li Zicheng to flee south and the Manchus to set up the Qing dynasty in the north. So although the Qing dynasty would eventually conquer all of China within a few years, the map of China around the time the game is set would probably look something like this, with the Qing dynasty in the north, the remnants of the Ming in the south, and Li Zicheng hiding out in Xi'an. So what's so controversial about this? Well, Chinese players realized that you don't actually fight anyone from the Qing dynasty in the game, but you do fight and kill some Ming dynasty generals who appear as bosses. What's wrong with that? Well, from a nationalist Chinese point of view, the Qing are Manchus, who at that time were foreigners. The Qing dynasty was one of only two dynasties that were ruled by foreign invaders. The other was the Mongolian Yuan dynasty. So instead of fighting the Qing in the game, you are fighting against the ethnic Han Chinese Ming loyalists. See the problem? Well, some in the audience might not, but if you've grown up under the ultra-nationalist education of the CCP in China, then this is going to ruffle your feathers. Get it? Feathers? Anyway, even though the game hasn't got a license and couldn't even be released in China, you can still get it on Steam, and many Chinese in China and overseas Chinese have raised issues with the fact that you have to fight Ming dynasty generals like this boss called Ming General Liu Cheng-en. Even though it's fictional, the thought of fighting the Ming instead of the Qing at the end of the Ming dynasty is unacceptable to many Chinese, and thus developers started feeling the heat and actually released an update, version 1.5, that changed a lot about the game. Gamer Lance McDonald made a long X thread about the changes that seem like self-censorship, and I want to go through that with you now. He starts off by saying, LOL, Wuchang patch notes say they optimized exhaustion animation for certain NPCs, and what they mean is they made it so you can no longer kill any historically significant bosses or NPCs, and instead they get exhausted and relax after the fight and talk to you, Elmao. And we see this with the Ming Dynasty general boss. When you win the battle, instead of doing this and exploding into a flurry of feathers like he originally did, as we see in Lance's post, he now just sits down after being defeated and you can talk to him.
You may not be one of us, but the feathering has marked you. Proceed onward, and the city god will consider you nothing more than a monster. While I cannot stop you, I also cannot provide assistance. Go in peace.
It's kind of like they have softened the whole battle and you're actually ending up friends and he's giving you advice now. This other general, presumably Ming, Liu Wenxiu, doesn't die either, and he just stands around exhausted after you defeat him. And after you defeat this so-called Dragon Emperor, he lies down and you are told that him and his consort are only sleeping. You haven't killed them. There are similar situations with other historically sensitive characters too. So while you can fight this monster, these Ming Dynasty loyalist soldiers no longer attack you. They just stand there and your weapon won't even touch them if you try to attack. After another boss, there is a new line of main character dialogue added that says this.
Your will, I'll carry it onward. You'll hear it.
giving the impression you made peace with the boss you just defeated. This dialogue, though, is in an American accent, voiced by a different voice actress to the rest of the main character's dialogue, which is done by a British-sounding actress.
The chisel is complete. By you. It's time to bring you home.
So it's kind of awkward. And in another edit, this scene where you encounter a Portuguese missionary gets completely removed.
Trust in the Lord, my child, and he shall doubtless heal your terrible suffering.
I mean, it's not hard to see why this would upset a Chinese nationalist. You basically agree to become a Christian in this interaction. And you learn this praying ability from this guy, not sure what that does, and we can't find out either because in this update, the whole scene was deleted. Some people online, though, have been sharing their photos of their physical disc copies for PS5, which obviously didn't get updated. Another person says, why don't they patch it for that region only then? This is the most ridiculous case of censorship I have ever heard of. By that region only, he means China. So what is the reason behind this? Well, I can see it from both sides. From one point of view, the story probably wasn't very well thought out. I mean, why would you be fighting the Ming? At that time in history, there was a popular folk movement called Fan Qing Fu Ming, or oppose the Qing and restore the Ming. The weakened Ming were the underdog, they were ethnically Chinese, so it was kind of like the rebel alliance fighting the empire, okay? Those who held on to their heritage fighting this new behemoth that was taking over. And remember, in Chinese, the name of the game is literally Mo Ming, end of the Ming, so it's pretty in your face what is happening in the game. But the amount of backlash over a fictional story and the pressure that was put on the developers is a bit over the top, and I think is a result of the type of hyper-nationalist atmosphere that the CCP has created in China. I mean, to give another example of how extreme the nationalist sentiment in China is, in 2012, after Japanese activists landed on a disputed island claimed by both China and Japan, there was a movement in China to smash up Japanese cars, which were ironically mostly owned by fellow Chinese citizens. In this particular instance, it isn't the CCP that has forced changes, as far as we know. The game isn't even approved for release in China. Instead, it is the Chinese people. But they are from a society that the CCP has created, and it's like, you create a monster, you live with the consequences. Well, I personally think it is a little bit of a weird choice to have you fight the Ming, but at the same time, looking back historically, the Qing turned out to not be so bad. They presided over a late golden age in Chinese civilization, with 2 emperors each reigning over 60 years of peace and prosperity. They eventually completely assimilated to Chinese culture. There is no Manchu state anymore, unless you count the Manchukuo government in exile based in Japan, which even has its own X account, but they are just really representing the World War II era Japanese puppet state of Manchukuo, which has no chance of ever existing again. Manchuria is firmly part of China now. The Manchu language is pretty much dead, with only 20 native speakers as of 2007, and the Manchurian ethnicity is now just one of the 56 ethnic groups recognized within China. So in modern terms, Manchurians, or what is left of that identity, are Chinese, and those conflicts are all just history now. There is no need to feel threatened by them or create this huge issue, causing the game developer to release this very botched and weird patch that has left international gamers feeling confused. But anyway, leave your comments down below and please subscribe to this brand new channel. On this channel, I will cover current events rather than just traditional and cultural topics that I cover on my Learn Chinese Now channel. So if you're into all things China, subscribe to both, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.